Stream. Back live on Hey Britannia. Headphones. We have 3 guests and they have 2 headphones. She's kind of like our Baba Booey. If you're a Howard Stern fan, she's like Baba Booey. Or she is, if you're a Man Cow fan, she's like DJ Love Cheese. One of the 2. Only she's a lot taller than DJ Love Cheese. I think that guy's like 3 foot tall. Jay Marie in the building, as they say. I tried to get in the venue as a thing that all the rappers would do, but none of them would ever do it. No one would ever go with me on that.
I'll promote that.
I'm in the venue, dog. If you're listening to us live on 50 plus AM FM stations across the country and around the world, thank you. If you're listening to us on TuneIn, iTunes, Radio Loyalty, all that, thank you. 2 Central, 3 Eastern, 12 Pacific, 1 p.m. Mountain Standard is when we are live. JiggyJaguar.com. TuneIn apps and Radio Loyalty. The brand new Jiggy Jaguar app is available in the App Store. Both app stores. Or JiggyJaguar.us. And we have some great guests with us today in studio. First of all, Jay Marie is co-hosting because Israel is nowhere to be found. And I have been trying to raise Israel on the... See, what happened last week was we were sitting here, he was sitting over there, and he's like, you know who we need to have on? I got into this Facebook discussion with J.B. Wells. We need to have her on. Then he was like, oh, we need to get Alan in here too. You know, the guy we had on the TV shows running in the 1st District. And then, dog, we got to get ICT. My man ICT, yes. He's been on Cake. He's been on Power 93. We got to get him here. They're all here. You're nowhere. So we are going to go back to the conversation.
Totally his loss today. Totally.
Before you got here, my friend, we were discussing with Alan, how do you reach the young voter and there's Skylo. Well, at least Skylo's here. Skylo has made his way into the building. How do you reach the young voter who has no interest whatsoever, basically, in voting? And what Alan and I were speaking of was the fact that it used to be you could reach him through hip-hop radio with NWA and all that stuff. But how do you reach a voter who's not paying attention to the usual newspaper, radio? And Alan was having a discussion with Jay, but as an artist, if he was trying to get his message out to try to get you to vote or get you involved in the political process, what the hell's missing here?
As an artist, what I would do...
Grab your mic over there, brother.
Can't hear you.
And you can, and it might be turned on, it might not be turned on, who knows what. There you go, there you are. Go ahead.
So as an artist, what I would do, which is pretty much what everyone's doing right now, like President Obama, for example. I mean, he went to social media. Social media right now is a big boom amongst all the young people that, they got the phones in their hands, and they're looking at everything that's being posted. That's what I would do, is reach out.
Okay, Alan, social media. Have you been... I know you're active on social media. You do Facebook. You have seen some Twitter stuff.
Do you have a fan page yet?
I don't know that it's a fan. It's a political page, so it's not like there's fans. There's a page, and you can like it, and you'll get it'll alert you every time I put something on there. Like yesterday at the fair, I notified every time I'd go to a new location and say this is going to be. So I've got that. We've got the website. We've got, like you said, Twitter, and I think we've got Snapchat now. So we're out there, but I mean, people, like I said, I'm here today. I think people listen to radio. They listen to streaming radio. Yeah. They pay attention to multiple media outlets, and so I mean, I guess the answer is just get on all of it.
Right. I agree.
Now, Jay, you in our last segment, you were kind of motivated to get into the political process now and actively vote and different things. That's good. We've also got, we have an open door policy here on our Sunday radio program, and usually what that means is the door is open, and if you want to show up, you can, and Skylo is here. We'll get Skylo a microphone at some stage of the game this afternoon.
We need to get Skylo mic'd up over there.
We'll figure out what the hell he's doing. Alan, playing show producer now. Okay. You can grab a chair. There's chairs over there. Okay, Skylo, what are you doing here? are you substituting for Israel?
Am
Is
I
that what's
right
going
now?
on?
I guess so. Yes, I mean, I just came by, man.
You just came by. Well, that's good. We'll hang out. We'll hang out.
Little bird flew by me. I said, I'm going to take
Okay. Well, good. Hang out. Now Jay. Oh yeah. When I say Jay, there's two of them.
Yeah.
Jay Wells. We'll start over there. How you got booked on this show today was part of the reason is because you're going to do our Second Amendment show at Access in Salina on Thursday. But you got into a interesting conversation with Israel on social media about race and guns, which are...
I don't think he brought up the guns at all.
It was all race.
It was all to do with the football player that I don't know if you can hear me. I lost my
Yes.
voice. Sorry.
We got you. We got you.
We were talking about how the football player took a knee.
Yes.
For the
whole
national
Colin
anthem.
Kaepernick thing. Yeah.
I had a football scholarship for filming football, so I'm kind of close to home on that subject.
Yeah.
And when we did football, I'm not going to say how many years ago, but you know, the coaches were like, you know, leave politics at the door, leave religion at the door, and you're here to unify and be a team. And and it was like there was not an issue of color versus color. It was teamwork.
Yeah.
And we were told to respect the national anthem and the flag. And so, you know, as a Constitution caring person, yes, he did have the right to take a knee, and that was respectful. And I think that the post that we commented on for Facebook, I didn't agree with everything that I posted. I don't always agree with everything I posted. I do it to people watch. And so there were some things where I guess the lady said something about go back to where you came from. Well, I'm sorry. He was born in America, so he should stay in America.
That's right.
I don't
He's going to go back up the street.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Go back to where you came from. Okay, I'll go back home. That's fine.
But, I mean, I don't know if you introduced the fact that I'm a Kansas author. So
yes,
I technically wrote about race
you did
problems
write about this
before it was cool to be a hot topic. 'Cause my book was published back in 2014. It's called The Tale Begins, Tail. And since it has DNA splicing in it, I'm sorry to get all sci-fi on you. But
hey, that's fine. That's fine.
I researched it, and I did the recessive gene, where I had a white couple have one of the guys had a recessive gene. I'm gonna try not to give spoilers here.
Yes, because we do want you do want people to buy the book.
So one of the characters, the parents were both of a lighter color, and she was black. And so I did write about race problems before it was cool. And the whole point of my book was to unify us, no matter what. I'm sorry. When you research the word race, it is it's the humanoid race. It's the canine race. It's the equine race. We are human. We are the human race. And when you use that against another person of a different color, you are saying they are not human, and that makes me mad. And so, you know, we should be unifying and working as a team. And the more you use that, you're creating hate.
Yes.
And I'm trying to bring back love, bring back inspiration, and make a difference. So So that was what he posted, and so.
I just Jay, what do you make of the this whole thing with the standing for the flag and not standing for the flag? Because you're a football fan, and
I am a football fan, and I feel like everybody should stand. I mean, this is our country that we are supposed to be upholding as, you know, being proud of where we're from.
Yeah.
And that means accepting the bad things too.
That's right. That's right. You know, not everybody's perfect, not every country's perfect, and we just need to stand behind our Constitution and our country.
Can I jump in on that though?
Go.
I mean, you said that you feel that he should stand, and hell, I'll agree with you. I feel that too. But what I feel is insignificant compared to what is a fact. And the fact is, he doesn't have to. I mean, I'm not saying that it's justified. And if he wants to lose all of his sponsors, and but as far as his right to do that, not supporting it, but he has the right. I saw a meme that said, men have fought for your right to stand.
He does
and
have
I'm a guy. I served in combat. I'm a combat veteran. I was in the infantry, and I'm one of.
But I mean, what's that saying?
But I also
about
fought,
him as a person.
I also fought for his right to sit down.
Yeah.
I fought for his right to not stand if he chose not to.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if he felt that it was making a statement, and by God it did, because now we're talking about it.
Right.
Yep.
I'll stand behind that.
It's how he said it that caused the controversy. The fact that he said that America oppresses the blacks, and that's not true. It was at one point, but it's not true today, because how many congressmen are black? How many representatives? How many senators? I mean, we have a black president. If it was still the nation that oppressed black people, then they wouldn't be allowed in office. So they are not oppressed by law.
Maybe not by law, but by reality. I mean,
Skylo,
What's up, man?
what do you have on this subject? Because you've
Well,
we've chatted about this, not this story, but we've chatted about this on this show before.
yeah, man. I'll tell you what. My views.
Yeah.
Like everybody else's, is my views, man.
Well, that's why you're here. I think that's why we're all here.
I think that people should just let go of whatever they holding on to inside.
Yeah.
Let that shit all out. Scream that shit out. Hallelujah, amen, whatever. And get right with each other, man. There is no, to me, is no oppression unless you want to be oppressed.
Yeah.
Because you can fight. You can be your own person. That's life to me. You know what I'm saying?
We're gonna do this.
Who I'm gonna be at the end of the day.
We're gonna try to call Israel. Keep talking, Skylo.
So, that's it, man.
That's it.
If a man has rights, he has rights, and the first thing is his human rights.
Come on, pick up.
I don't know.
So that's
Israel
what it is.
supposedly is gonna pick up the phone. There he is.
Please leave your message for.
Please leave your message. Okay. Well, what do you think, brother? What do you think about this whole thing? Because
I think each and every one of us got our own, likes and dislikes and our own things that we want to do as far as people. So I don't have no opinion, towards it either way. I mean, that's what he felt like he wanted to do, and that's what he felt like. So I can't say I support it or not support it because I'm not him. He had his own reasons. So I just believe everyone has their own choices.
there he is. Israel.
Hello.
How are you, sir?
Hey, buddy. What's it?
I've got Jay Marie here. I have Skylo here. He just took advantage of our open door policy.
Yes, I did.
Oh, believe me, I've had like, well, we won't even get into that. I have a political person in here who's running for office. We won't talk about what I've had in here before as far as the open door policy. We have our guy from ICT with us. You've seen him all over the place. Cake News, Power 93. He's all over the place. And then, of course, Jay Wells and our buddy from live from Salina, Alan Law Police. And we were just discussing the Colin Kaepernick thing. Jay was sort of giving her take on it. Everybody was kind of giving their view on it. What is your view on it? And then we'll see if things differ or things are the same. What do you think, sir?
Well, it's pretty simple. Before I, say what I think, I'm right. So let's just get that out of the way.
Before you say anything, you're right.
Now
Okay.
that we all established that I'm correct, now I can give the basis for my argument. Uh, no, I'm just playing, but you know, my my view of this as an African American male is that there's never a time that is okay for blacks to protest, and that's what's being said publicly. In my opinion, it's like, yo, it's like, yo, Kaepernick, you don't have the right to do this. Well, why now? Why this? And people just gotta understand that the flag doesn't represent the same thing for everybody. I'm sure that you know the crescent moon and the star doesn't mean the same thing in America as it does in Turkey, for example. It means two different things, but
In Turkey.
historically, you got to look at what it really symbolizes to other people. When blacks hear a lot of this patriotism and a lot of things like this nostalgic look at America, these times that people look back, oh well, this is when America was great, and it always seems to be a time where African Americans weren't doing so well. So to us, it comes off like, Kaepernick, why don't you be quiet? You're being too loud while we're enjoying our white privilege. Can't we just enjoy it in
Oh my
peace?
God.
And that's how it comes off to us a lot of times. It's like, he didn't make any radical statements. He didn't make any radical gestures or anything. He didn't say anything that anybody else hasn't said. And I think it's funny that, a month or two ago, people were so, yeah, Ali stood for this greatness. This guy hasn't did a third of what Ali ever could have done, and here it is, just a few months after his death, and you're already denouncing him. To me, it's the same argument. It's a different athlete, but same argument. So you can't denounce one and not the other. You know what I mean? That's my opinion about it.
Okay, Alan, Jay, jump in there, because Israel put a lot out there.
No, his opinion is like he said, it's right. So thank you for that. But no, I was gonna mention Ali too. I mean, he protested what he thought was unfair treatment, uncivilized treatment. Civil rights was fought and allegedly won, and yet today, in the news, in the media, in the real world, you see young black men being killed all the time. And for him to think that there's an endemic problem, there's something wrong, he has a right to protest that and say, I don't agree until we can evaluate this. You got people that are on the Black Lives Matter side, and then you've got everybody else who says, well, those guys are all wrong. No, they're not. They're not wrong. That's their voice. And I'm not saying I'm in that crowd either, but they're not wrong to say we feel oppressed and we'd like some recognition of that.
Yep.
And exactly like Ali was the champion of that. I mean, he was this. Go back even a little bit further, and Hurricane, I can't think of his name.
Oh yeah.
He was put in jail forever. I mean, this is ridiculous. So to say there is no problem, or to say that someone doesn't have the right to voice their opinion of that problem, is that's anti-American.
Jay, what do you think about this? We've got Israel on the phone now, on Skype audio, because it's better quality. You wrote
Thank
about
you,
this.
Skype, for making me sound great.
There you go. Now, Jay, you before we got you on, or before we got Israel on, you were talking about this is in one of your books.
About how, about the, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Keep talking. About the gene splicing
Yes.
and all the.
Yeah, there's the. I was saying before you got on Israel that I think you missed some of the comments on that post. I didn't fully agree with that woman saying that he should go back where he came from, because I mean it was
He
kind
was
of
born here.
yeah, he
He's
was
gonna go
born
back up the
here.
street.
Right?
What?
Sorry, my voice is gone. I still think that we're all one human race, and every time you bring up color issues, you're creating hate. And I'm kind of an expert on that territory of hate, and I don't want to go back there. It's a dark road you don't want to go down. And I don't know how many people know this, but I went to a high school, and there was one black boy there, and everybody else was white. And at that time, I was a darker skin, and I got on by the skinheads, and it was made to feel less than white. And I got to the point where I walked a mile home in the rain to refuse to ride on the bus with the skinheads. I got to the point where I skipped my favorite creative class because they were all in there ganging up on me.
Yeah.
And when I
Well,
refused
that's not hard to believe because I see it often the whites are willing to speak up. Some of them are afraid to because there's names that called race traders that are called nigger lovers or race baiters, whatever. So that should be a cue to white America that this is real. This is something that we experience. If racism will even turn its head on you, and this is supposed to be a country of white privilege. And let me say, when I say white privilege, I don't believe that all whites are privileged, but I do believe that there is a such thing as white privilege. And that's the thing about it. As Black Americans, it seems like, whenever we talk about race, whenever we want to talk about it in the context of our own people, and it's like, we're creating division and we're creating hate. Now, hate is what we've experienced. Hate is what we're trying to overcome. So sometimes, you're angry about stuff. Sometimes it may come off like that, but it's not to be divisive, because if you look at American history, you see easily that blacks have always tried to assimilate. Every time that we try to assimilate, we've been met with some roadblocks. You have this whole, what I call Republican rhetoric that's like, well, blacks just need to pull themselves up by the bootstraps. Blacks need to educate themselves. If they didn't live in such, bad neighborhoods, then they would be all right. But I can give you examples of, blacks want to educate themselves. When they tried to educate themselves and go to college in Arkansas, the National Guard had to be called out just for 9 kids to go to school. That's in recent history. That's what we're talking about. The blacks are complaining about. The Kaepernick is complaining about. This isn't something new. That's what upsets me personally. Is like white America wants to act like, oh well, this is a new issue that he's talking about. No, not really. I mean, you got to think about. My grandmother was fully alive for the first civil rights movement. Here it is, 30, 40 years later, we're have to have the same issue again. Obviously, it didn't get dealt with. So obviously, we need to have a tough conversation. But when someone says something that's quote-unquote anti-America, whatever, that doesn't mean they're being divisive or hateful. That means they're being honest. Hateful is the pictures of you see black back stripped. The hateful is go home nigger signs. Hateful is what's happened to a whole culture unjust. That's hate. When we're talking about it, that's just being honest about a tough situation.
What do you guys think about
or something like that?
Or something like that.
I don't think you could have said it any better. Honestly, I feel that.
I just
So,
think there's a difference. I think that you're creating division when you say there's a Black America and a white America. We are America. This is America.
it's it's America when it's convenient. Blacks are welcome in America when it's convenient. We were on September 11, 2001. We were all Americans that day. I tell you that much. But then on September 10th, we were still black and white America. There always has been division, and it's not necessarily created by us. It's the division economically, is a division economically, educationally. There's a division in the housing. That's where you get terms like redlining districts. You get gerrymandering to blot off districts based upon race and different things like that. So it's like blacks, we're good enough when it's convenient. It's good enough when you need us to fight in the war. We're all Americans then. It's good enough when you want us to say a pledge allegiance to the flag, but we're not good enough when we come in for the loan, or we're not good enough when we get the job, or we're not good enough when we're in front of the judge. So that's what it's like. As a black man, as an educated black man, my question to white America is, what is it that you actually want us to do? What is it that you've asked us to do that we haven't done by force or by will? So I don't feel like we're being divisive.
What do you guys think about that?
I think it's we the people have sat there and voted for our different districts. It goes back down to the different districts and the different levels of government. If you want to make a difference, then you need to be able to vote. And I guess that just brings in Alan.
I'll just. This is
I like Alan.
I think you're a good guy. I think everything you said is absolutely right. And the reality, I mean, there's what justice is blind, and the courts, they see,
Yeah.
they don't see color and all that stuff. But I keep thinking back to when Trayvon Martin was shot, and there was a rationale that he had a hoodie on, and that he looked menacing, and so there was this notion then that young black men shouldn't wear a hoodie. What kind of what you can't tell me we live in a free America, a colorblind America, when you tell a young man he can't go out and not wear a hoodie. I mean,
You're not supposed to walk in between houses in the middle of the night.
Says who? In the apartment complex.
You have the freedom to walk anywhere
I
you
know,
want.
but it's safe.
I think that was his
Safer
neighborhood.
to sit there and walk.
Why can I not have my hoodie on?
I can.
I
You're in the
can't.
alley.
I can't either. I tell you what.
Skylo, that's awesome.
Why?
Wow.
That's my question. Why?
It doesn't matter what color you are. If you do that, you're treated different.
I wouldn't. I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't have got shot.
Oh, that's not true. That's not true.
I'll tell you what. I'm going to tell y'all what, right?
Okay.
I've seen culture change, and I've seen it change dramatically, right? And, I do agree, this is America. This is America.
Yes.
And I do agree that there is separatism in America. Basically, I've done seen people go from fashions such as baggy jeans to skinny jeans.
Guilty.
All right? So, I've seen culture change. It was a culture shock to me. I'm 34 years old. I'm from the 80s. So I've seen a little bit of a lot. So, I mean, there is separatism. And I don't understand why. Because we all are human beings. We all are people. We should basically try to have progress against each other. We should want to see each other progress in life. Period. I think a lot of stuff should be free in life. You can't charge me for water. How do you charge me for rain? I don't understand that. To this day, I'm still trying to come to the conclusion that there's a lot of stuff.
Well, and there's
out there that
a
we need to learn.
federal law that you can't collect rainwater.
I know.
What is it? Rainwater? or
It's
something?
rainwater.
That's crazy.
It is.
That's crazy. You control rainwater.
I didn't
Who
do
does
that.
that? Like, this is America, bro. Right?
I only personally drink mountain water from the springs of the gods anyway, so rainwater is beneath me.
I can't hear what Israel's saying. So tell him I said I hear him talking, but I can't hear what he's saying.
Listen, the race issue is not going to change because there's not being honesty about what's happening. There's division because that's the way we want it. That's the way we feel comfortable, and that's the way the country was founded. Let's just be honest. Let's take, for example, church, right? Church is segregated, the most segregated place probably in the country, right? Why? Why? Because whites feel more comfortable worshiping whites and blacks feel more comfortable worshiping with blacks. That's a choice we both openly made. The difference isn't the problem. The problem is that is we're not honest about there are cultural differences. Everybody's walking on a tightrope. There are differences between how black families act and how white families act. I've been around both to know that there's a difference. That's not the bad thing. The bad thing is when we treat each other different based upon that. Because most white people that I've met who have, just from their arguments, when they want to argue about, well, blacks need to do this, blacks need to do that, they haven't spent any time in the hood in their whole life. And the same thing with black people who haven't spent any time in white neighborhoods. White people do this, white people do that. And they really don't know because they haven't been in that environment. That's part of the problem because we do choose to be segregated. Just as simple as who you sit with at the lunch table. It started back then. Who your friends are, who you live with. Those are things that are ingrained in us culturally, and we just don't want to be honest and talk about them. White people are uncomfortable with black people, and black people are uncomfortable with white people because of the history that we had in this country. But nobody wants to talk about it. We want to paint this rosy, patriotic picture where firecrackers shoot out of George Washington's ass on the 4th of July, and everybody eats apple pie. And that's not real. It's not what's really happening.
Was it Skylar?
Skylo.
Was it Skylo that said that, we choose whether we want to be offended or not?
Yeah.
And so, I guess I'm a literist when I say, what the word race is humanoid race. You see a cat and there's like 5 different colors come out of a kitten batch, but they are still the feline race. So we're not saying don't talk about it. We're saying let's move forward. Let's progress forward with love.
How do you move forward if you haven't had reconciliation? How do you stop it from happening again if you don't have a reconciliation? And what reconciliation has been between the two cultures?
I'm just saying, I'm still gonna wear my hoodie, man.
I'm still gonna wear my hoodie, man. ICT boy, what do you think about all this? Because you're down there in Wichita where they haven't been the nicest to the black race.
It's not just Wichita.
Well, yeah. But I mean, he's down in there in that culture.
I mean, it was a whole thing called slavery, Jiggy. Read your history.
Well, that too.
That too.
I'm gonna get Mike Game calling up and talking about my white privilege. Go
Jiggy, they revoked your white privilege. You got too many black friends.
Well, that too.
You're over your limit.
I do. I'm over my limit of black friends. They did revoke my white privilege. But ICT boy, jump in there, my friend.
Yeah, I feel this has been going on since the start of time.
Yeah.
This particular subject that we're talking about. And I honestly feel that we can go round and round about how you feel, how I feel, how she feel, and how her feel. It's going to continue to go on until we're all gone from this earth.
Yeah.
I salute everyone who's trying to be positive about it and trying to, get us all to become one, because I believe we all are God's people.
Yeah.
And He created us to be as separated as we are.
Uh-huh.
So I just feel that it's a subject that's never going to die down. Racism is always going to be there. There's always going to be separatism, and there's people that there's good people that believe in us being together, and there's bad people who don't believe in us being
believe
together,
that it should be.
And it's not going to change.
Taking place.
You can talk to them all day long. You can preach to them. You can, they're just going through one ear into the other.
Yeah.
I hate to sound so negative or negative
No.
about it.
No.
But I'm just being real, and I've just come to the point, in my own mind, hey, it's going to be there.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you don't try to make it better.
I do try to make it better.
I don't know.
I
think, well, you're my dog, but I don't think it's going to always be there. I disagree with that. I really think that, fortunately for all of us, and I only think it's a small portion of people. Media takes the minority and blow it up, be the majority in every instance, because that's what sells them advertising. When they got stories that seem juicy, it's juicier
like Alan was saying
to
earlier.
have a story about a skinhead chasing a little girl than it is about us having this conversation about opening up dialogue. The reason why I'm so frank about what I say and the way I say it is that I want, for those people who actually do care to change, how can they really help me change if I'll be honest with you about how we feel? We have private conversations in our homes around the holidays and whatever else, and that's from both cultures. And those are conversations that we should be having publicly. But we don't, because there's this whole thing that's saying, you know what, like, maybe talk about that. Maybe we shouldn't, we should just leave that alone. It's too much of a hot button topic. That's what's perpetuating it. But fortunately for us, these people who do have this racist, classist mindset are getting older and dying off. So they have no choice but to change. And the majority of us who live in segregated United States have had hopefully enough education and enough interaction with opposite race to understand that, look, it was never true to begin with. The things about each other aren't correct. And you're correct. My grandmother said to me that cats have babies with cats and dogs baby with dogs. And if white guys want the same, they could babies together. Makes a lot of sense. So you are correct in that. But the black community is like, when our grievances expressed, it's always the message that we hear. We just gotta move on. Like, we gotta talk about something else. Let's not talk about anything that makes us uncomfortable. Yet we gotta live uncomfortable every day. And that's the problem. Like, we're not having an honest conversation. And as long as I'm around, I'm gonna just have an honest conversation. Like, I'm all for everybody getting along. I've been called anti-white, and I'll just tell you I'm pro-black. I'm critical of anybody. I'm more critical actually of black people who are harmful to black people than I am of white people, because the first thing you should do is not hurt yourself. But I'm still not the person who believes in this whole narrative of, oh, it's black on black crime. That's why, it's okay for us to do these things. It's just not okay. If the roles were reversed and blacks were the majority and held the power structure and whites were the underprivileged, I still wouldn't be okay with the treatment, because it's about human rights. But until, like, the chain is only as strong as its weakest link. So until the bottom level, the downcasted are brought up, then everybody's pulled down by it. So it should be in everybody's interest what's happening to African Americans, because you can't have the country, blacks and whites, we're tied together and we got to accept it. You can't have America. America won't be as great as it quote unquote is without the contribution of African Americans. But it's like America wants the black part. They want the black contribution, but not the black people. And that's, to sum it up, the biggest problem that we have in the United States is that America wants the black contribution, whether it be artistically, educationally, whether it be economically, whether it be in the labor force or whatever it is, in the entertainment industry. They want our talent, they want our genius, but they don't want the person. Or something like that.
I'm with you. There's this natural pause. We started out the show talking about voter apathy. We talked about people that didn't want to get involved because it was, well, that's too sensitive, or that doesn't affect me, but it does. And so when you say we shouldn't address racial issues, we shouldn't address racial tension, we shouldn't look at Trayvon Martin or what happened in Orlando, or we shouldn't look at the countless crimes and say, well, we're not even going to address it because no, we have to address it, and it may not be what we initially think it is. It may be more, it may be less, it may be something totally different, but to not address it, that's the failure. The human condition is always looking to improve itself. It's always looking to make the quality of life better, mostly for our children. And so to not address it is to discount that and to say to our children, screw it, we couldn't make it better, so you're going to have to suffer, And I won't have that. I'll put this very personal to me, because right now, politically, everybody talks immigration, and I got my immigration policy, and I could, revamp this conversation. But my wife is she's a refugee. My wife was born in El Salvador, and she was brought here under asylum. They were fleeing a civil war-torn country. And
wow.
My mother-in-law brought her here when she was very young, and they came to this country. They pled for asylum, and then over time, my mother-in-law and then eventually my wife became citizens. And my wife is a product of our asylum policy.
Yeah.
She was a refugee, and my children, my 3 daughters, are a product of that same policy, and they are half Hispanic. They are Latino. Like, I got 3 little girls that are half white, half brown. And if I'm not going to address racial tension, and you can call it you can say it's not racial tension, but if I'm not willing to address the tension between the African Americans and the Latinos and the whites and the Asians, if I'm not willing to address that, then that's a disregard for my obligation as my child's father. So I will address it, and I will try to make it better.
Well, that is this has been an interesting discussion. We are in hour number 2 now of our world famous Jiggy Jaguar radio program. We've got Israel joining us on Skype audio. We have Skylar building.
Yep.
And Jay Marie, who is sitting at Israel's position, at the co-host desk,
looking like M&M eye candy.
and she apparently she looks like what was that?
M&M eye candy.
M&M eye candy. Okay, that'll be on a T-shirt somewhere. Alan Lompolice is with us today. He is what? Go ahead, Israel.
No, I would say, man, this is a great conversation if you ask me. I think it's actually informative. You know what I mean? And people are actually listening to each other, man. Not like the guy I had on the show last week who Caucasian guy who was blacker than me.
We've got ICT Boy with us today. We're going to be playing Toast to the Good Life here in a few moments, and we also have Jay Wells with us. Yes, last week there was a gentleman that Israel had we had on the show with Israel, and he is whiter than snow, and he called in and was telling Israel that he is blacker than he is. And I'm like, how do you get away with it? This guy was so white he looked like an LED light.
I tell you,
He was.
get away with it.
I'm like,
You
how are you pulling that off?
You pay me to show up. That's how you get away with it.
Did he have red hair? He must be Scottish.
I don't know, but I should have told him, you know what, next time the police pull you over, you tell them that you're blacker than me. You
Now, let's kind of switch our focus here. We've got ICT Boy with us today. You have been all over the place, my friend. I feel like you're running for office. You're as in many as much media as Alan is, and Alan's running for political office. All you're doing is pushing a single. It's amazing. You were on Cake. You've been on Power 93. Name some of the other places you've been. You've been all over the place, my friend.
I've been on Cake News actually twice now.
Look at that.
All in the summer and 93.9. I mean 93.5.
What? Yeah, it's always got to be $93.9.
Yeah, I just know 93.9.
I don't know why they changed everything around, but
The 5 is one gangster. Everyone knows it.
that's right. That's right. If you put a 5 in there. So you've been out pushing the single. You've been there's music videos. You know what I think is great is that it's like you're running for political office, but it's like you are running for political office. You're as busy promoting this as Alan is trying to get votes. It's an amazing process.
Yeah, it is, man.
I think you're going to win, Alan, by the way.
What?
I think he thinks you're going to win, Israel.
Hey, you might just. I mean, it just depends on his
I think so, buddy. I called in a couple of favors from the Daily family in Chicago. They taught me some good old political tricks, so I'm sure we can get you in there, buddy.
Now, ICT Boy, yesterday, was it yesterday, Jay, that I want to get his thoughts on the person you were talking to me about earlier. Go ahead. You do your co-host duties there.
Unfortunately, we lost a hip-hop legend, so to speak, in Wichita, King KB.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, homie. Because this is kind of, your movement is kind of what we need to be talking about, because you want to bring unity to the community with what you're doing. And in these kind of tragic events, so to speak. Can you tell us a little bit about the movement behind your music?
Yeah, first of all, I want to say condolences to KB's family and to anyone who knows in Wichita, Kansas.
Definitely.
I just seen him the other day. He was supposed to come into the studio. He actually came up to the studio, and he just said, "Hey, I'm not feeling what take you on." And I said, "Hey, man, that's fine. We'll cut later on." So I'm taking this real personal and build a heart of happened to be a part of the movement, and he was also one of the ones who started the rap scene, here in Talk.
Yep.
So I'm telling you, real personal, but I'm going to continue to strive and continue to do what I do to bring us all in unity in his behalf. I just want to touch base. And as far as the movement is all of us Wichita artists uniting instead of us, competing with each other. I mean, what is there to compete for? I mean,
yeah,
I want to compete. How many people are you helping feed? How many people are you helping employ? Is your family employed? Is family employed? I don't want one of us getting the door without looking back at the door and saying, "Hey, who want to come in this door?" So the movement is about. It's up to 30 artists right now. I'm very proud of everyone who has came in and contributed to the project. And I've said this a million times. It's not about just me. There's lots of talent to talk. And I just want to bring life, and that's what this project is to do. We're going to get the city where it needs to be.
Well, Israel, you got anything for our guy ICT Boy? I know you've been wanting to get him on the show for a heck of a time. So
yeah, because we met a couple months back. I did a video for him. He reached out, and man, I just appreciate that. One thing that I like is that for whatever reason, bro, like you just got this positive